Okay, let's dive into this. Imagine for a second an ancient text, right? Thousands of years old. And what if it contained these hidden numerical patterns, almost like a secret code just waiting to be found inside its verses?
Well, here's the big question for today. Could a piece of modern code, something we write on a computer, actually help us uncover those designs? It's this really fascinating mashup of ancient scripture and modern-day computation that we're going to explore.
So the idea really is to use the powerful analytical tools we have today to shine a totally new light on something so ancient, specifically the Quran.
And I absolutely love this analogy from the source material because it just captures the whole thing perfectly. It's like we're bringing a computational magnifying glass to history, looking for intricate details that the naked eye might have missed for centuries.
Now, what's so interesting here is that this idea of looking for patterns, well, it isn't entirely new. The concept actually comes from inside the text itself.
The whole thing hinges on this key term, matheni. It's a word from the Quran that basically means oft-repeated. And this suggests that repetition, whether you're talking about themes, words, or even numbers, is a core principle of the text's design. This is really the foundation for everything we're about to look at.
So, if you're going to systematically hunt for these repetitions, how do you even do it? Well, that's where the Mathanari framework comes into play. You can think of it as our automated explorer, designed to dig in and investigate these numerical relationships in a really structured way.
So the framework uses these 5 different but connected lenses to analyze what it calls a pola, or a numerical pattern. It starts by looking at the text itself, then it crunches the numbers, it maps them to symbols, explores all their mathematical properties, and finally, it creates visualizations so we can actually see the results. It's a pretty holistic approach, for sure.
All right, so that's the theory. But how does this thing actually work in practice? Let's take a look at how it's applied to decode a very specific pattern.
So for our case study, we're going to focus on a pattern called Pola 237. And we're looking at it specifically within Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the second chapter of the Quran. The framework is basically designed to take this number, 237, and see what kind of connections it can pull out.
And this slide just lays out the process so clearly. The script takes the inputs you see at the top, the verse, the target number, and its main themes. Then it does its thing and spits out the outputs at the bottom. It does some math, right, like finding the factors and the digit sum. But this is where it gets really cool. It connects the numbers to meaning. For instance, it checks the theological databases and finds that the number 3 is a key number in rituals related to pilgrimage. And it even symbolically maps the whole pattern to al-Wahid, the unique, which is a divine attribute that lines up perfectly with the theme of divine unity.
You know, seeing is believing, and visualization is a huge part of this framework. This simple chart shows us the frequency of key numbers found inside the patterns of that one verse. So you can see the number 7 pops up 4 times in its underlying numerical structure, while 9 appears twice. It's just a really straightforward way to see that principle of mathani, the oft-repeated, in action.
And just to show you how versatile this tool is, we can compare the results for Pola 23 with a totally different analysis, this one for Pola 19. You can see right away how different they are. The context is different, the factors are different, 19 is a prime number, and the symbolic link and the theme are completely distinct. It really shows that the framework is an adaptable tool, not just a one-trick pony. Okay, so we've seen the framework pull out some pretty fascinating patterns, but let's ask the big question. What does all of this actually mean? What's the real takeaway here? This quote from the source material it hits the nail on the head. This kind of analysis isn't here to replace traditional study, not at all. It's meant to complement it. It offers a different kind of insight into the potential structure and composition of the text.
So at the end of the day, the goal isn't necessarily about proving there's some kind of secret code. It's really about providing a new analytical lens. It gives us objective data points, sums, factors, frequencies. You could almost think of it as seeing the architecture of the numbers, or maybe even seeing the text's unique numerical fingerprint for a specific pattern.
You know, this whole exploration really makes you wonder. By applying these incredible modern tools to ancient texts, it feels like we are just barely scratching the surface. And it leaves us with this huge, fascinating question. What other stories, what other hidden numerical patterns are just sitting there, waiting to be discovered?